And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the July 22nd, 2025 Investment and Strategy Committee. On this committee are myself, Councillor Blackmore, Councillor O'Connor, and of course, Mayor Clayton. I will call us to order, and I get to start with our land acknowledgement. And I apologize, I don't have the city's written one in front of me, but I do want to acknowledge that in Chambers, where everybody there is on Treaty 8 territory. And we are thankful for the Metis, Dene, Cree, and Beaver people who have been on this land since time immemorial. We're thankful to the caretakers of this land who took care of it so that we could come here and be with our families on it as well. And with that, I will ask for somebody to move that we adopt the agenda.
I will move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor, and I will call that question.
In favor.
Mayor Clayton, in favor.
That motion carries, which brings us to delegation business. I'll invite, I assume, Mr. Clarkson to the table first. And Mr. Clarkson, I know you've been around council and you're familiar to all of us, but if you just introduce yourself for those people watching at home, I'll give you about 5 minutes to your presentation before I turn over to my colleagues for any questions they might have.
All right, just give me a second here. We're just loading up a presentation and...
Yeah, no rush. That thing can be touchy.
Oh, there we go. Me? Control? Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Councillor Bresty and Council Administration. I think Administration outnumbers Council here in the Chambers. It's anyway, thank you so much for your time and for having me in this morning. Again, just here to provide an update on our 2024 funding that we received from Council. So on behalf of myself, my team, as well as our Board of Directors, and of course our thousands of guests that we see every season, we really appreciate our municipal partners and the funding and support that they give us. So thank you so much for that. So just in terms of what your 2024 funding support helped us do this last season, so of course a big focus of ours is upgrading our snowmaking systems and continuing to improve efficiencies there, just to deal with weather changes and climate change and the like, just in terms of shorter snow years as well as warmer temperatures. So that's always going to be a focus over the next few years here as we continue to upgrade and increase our inventory of snowmaking guns so that we can hit the ground running when the weather allows. We did some major snowcat servicing as well. Our machines, due to COVID as well as the landslide, have not seen the number of hours that we would have normally have expected. So the upgrade and buying of a new snowcat based on advice from our supplier is that we should be able to get at least another 4 years out of our snowcats. So they're just continuing to do our major snowcat servicing for us. We also did a snowmobile fleet upgrade. We've done lift upgrades, including a new blue dot conveyor belts. So for those that have been out to Nighthawk and ridden Bob's Bump, you will no longer slide backwards when you're riding up the lift. So that's a big positive, and our instructors are loving that. We also added to the new Summit T-Bar that Council, as well as our other two municipal partners, helped put in a new attachment for the T-Bar called the Boardy. So if you are a snowboarder or if you know a snowboarder, I'm sure you've heard comments that T-Bars aren't the most snowboarder friendly, but this new attachment is a wider T and makes a much more comfortable experience for snowboarders. So we're excited that we're going to be upgrading our entire line with that new Boardy attachment. We also purchased a Kubota utility vehicle for hill operations as well as medical response during spring, summer, and fall operations, which our ski patrol and bike patrol are very much appreciative of. Previously, we would have to wait and call for Grovedale Fire and Rescue to show up to help us with extrication, so this utility vehicle is certainly helping with that. We upgraded our chalet heating and electrical systems as well with a new Yanmar heat pump unit, heating over 4,000 square feet and improving energy efficiencies there. We did a website and point of sale system upgrade. The website, again, had seen an update about 10 years ago, but it was the back end, the WordPress side of things that wasn't working properly. So we've upgraded that to improve our guest experience on the front end. And also our point of sale system for our food services as well as Bear Paw. We moved to a system called OFAN, which has improved our sales tracking as well as allowing for just most recently online food sales, so people can actually order just like Skip the Dishes or DoorDash. So staff accommodation lease payments, this is an ongoing thing over the next 5 years. Again, thank you for your support with that. It's allowed us to hire out of country workers, and that last year we had 6 international students come and work for us. So that included 3 from Australia, 1 from Germany, as well as 2 from Great Britain. So great to have them join the team, and always nice to add that international flavor to the ski hill with an accent. I think we can all say that we've been to a ski hill. That's always a highlight. We also upgraded our fuel storage tanks. That was under advice from our insurance company to 2 brand new double wall tanks that will last us the next 25 years. And then, of course, continued to invest in erosion control and infrastructure savings as per our capital plan. So. In terms of key result updates, so again, enhancing the community well-being is a big part of what we do. Again, that physical, mental well-being that we help to add to your quality of life here in the city and in the region. Year-round activity, last year we saw over 30,000 public visits annually. That was throughout the entire year. So great to see us getting back to some pre-COVID and pre-landslide numbers there with the tube zone, the ski hill, and the bike park. Our educational programs, again, our ski programs in particular, saw over 7,000 school group students come out and join us for the season. And again, that was working with 32 schools in the region. So we're expecting a little bit more growth there. I think we've got 35 schools that we've worked with in the past. So our hope is to get the rest of them all back on board. The limiting factor there, which I'll identify later, is staffing and instructors ongoing. Family recreation, again, with Bear Paw. Bear Paw saw its busiest year in 2024, and that's with over 11,000 public visits. And that wasn't including the RV park there. And then, of course, like I mentioned, quality of life. So we're enhancing that quality of life for the region. Some of our 2024 successes, again, continuing to provide safe and accessible recreation facilities to the community. We've continued to improve our HR processes by adopting new staff training software and things like that to, again, improve and increase consistency, which is also helping us with engagement and retention with our staff. We typically see a 3-year turnover with our staff because we do hire a lot of high school students. So every 3 years we see a mass exodus, and then we're rehiring again, which I'm sure some of your city facilities are seeing as well. We also hosted another successful annual Comedy Night fundraiser. It's our largest fundraiser of the year, so we had more sponsors engaged with that event and saw more ticket sales as well. And again, we're using the Bonnett's Energy Center. We hosted our annual ski swap event for the community. Again, a winter stoke builder, essentially. This is something that we're going to be actually revisiting and reimagining just because we have seen a decrease in attendance, and we're not exactly sure why that is, if it's maybe people are just passing equipment down within their own families, or if, again, maybe retailers out in the community are offering better deals and sales that customers are looking for. We also hosted some great events last year. Coming off of the 2024 Alberta Winter Games, we hosted the Alpine U12 Provincials, which saw about 80 kids come from across the province to race at Nighthawk. Got great comments on that, and we're hoping that the provincial event will become part of our annual cycle with our events. We also hosted an Alberta Snowboard Association Grom Games event, as well as a freestyle skiing club competition. So great to see those things come back, and that our clubs are strong and confident to host those events. We've seen a return to growth of our corporate functions, birthday parties, and private parties. Again, after COVID and the landslide, we saw a sharp decline, and that's come back. So we're really confident that will continue. And of course, our continued growth of our ski programs, and of course, Bear Paw. Some of our challenges, again, continuing. These
Sorry,
aren't
Clark, so I'm going to give you another just minute or two. You're a little bit over, just so you know.
Oh, here. I did not win the competition this year, Dylan.
No, you still good last time.
All right, cool. Some of our challenges. So again, continued rising operational costs. I've touched on this numerous times before, but our insurance fees, $163,000 last year. Our utility and energy costs continue to rise at just over $300,000 last year. Food costs, staff, and wages to attract employees are almost outpacing revenue from our ticket price increases that we've been doing year over year. Our weather dependence, last year we lost 10 days due to weather-related closures, which is actually on the low end, so actually not too bad, but in previous years we've seen upwards of 3 weeks. So infrastructure impacts, so last summer, Highway 666 was reduced traffic for almost 2.5 months, which saw, of course, access to our RV park and bike park going down. And then, as I mentioned earlier, with instructors, staff succession planning is a big thing for us, needing those ski, snowboard, and bike instructors, that skilled labor, as well as on the operations end, looking to find more skilled labor there. And then, of course, our aging buildings and infrastructure, which is what you help to support through this capital plan. I'm not going to go through that. Skip those. So looking forward, so again, continuing with our sustainable funding model with our 3 municipal partners, our community support, we're continuing to engage the community with fundraising and sponsorships and the like, as I mentioned with Comedy Night, our partnerships to continue those with the MD, the city, and the county. And again, I do want to say thank you to administration for working with your counterparts at the other 2 municipalities on a long-term funding agreement. It's appreciated, and I'm glad to see that that's coming to fruition here as our friends at the MD of Greenview present that to their council. Improved efficiencies, as I mentioned, with snowmaking, new tourism experiences. So working with our board and our planning committee to work on developing new tourism experiences that are in line with our 3 to 5 year business plan. And then, of course, attracting that skilled labor. So I asked the council, again, like I said, continued support, and that long-term funding agreement is certainly what we were looking for, and what we hope is providing a great service and opportunity for our community as we're attracting new people to our community. And then the last thing there is I really want to personally invite you all to our 29th annual Comedy Night fundraiser on Saturday, September 20th at the Bose at Bonnett's Energy Center. So I'll be sending an email to Amanda on that as well. But thank you again so much. And if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Clarkson. We appreciate the presentation. And I'll look at my committee and see if anybody has any questions. And I think we're going to let you off easy today, Mr. Clarkson. I don't think we have any questions, but I think that's because we have been highly engaged in this and we're really interested in what you're doing. And you had a clear presentation, so thank you.
Thank you all, and we'll see you on the slopes this winter, and we'll hopefully see you at Comedy Night on the 20th.
Excellent. And with that, I'll call up our Grande Prairie Public Library presentation.
Good morning. My name's Haley McCullough, and I'm the director of the Grande Prairie Public Library. And with me, I have Erica Fisher, our board chair. So I'm going to try and speed run through this a little bit here because I know I have a tight window. So if we could just go to the next slide here. So last year, the City of Grande Prairie provided us with over $1.7 million in funding. And this included a 5% increase to our operational funding, which we were very grateful for. We also receive a significant gift in kind through the library space in the Montrose Cultural Center, which has a value of approximately $1.3 million and includes city services like custodial work, security staff, and utilities. Our other primary sources of funding last year include the County of Grande Prairie, the MD of Greenview, and the Government of Alberta, and internal revenue we generated through our donations, services like our exams and room bookings, as well as interest in our bank accounts. And if you look at the pie chart on this slide, you can see the city is our biggest contributor by far. We do have significant other sources of contribution, but the city is our biggest one. In terms of how the city's funding was utilized, most of it went towards staffing, about 75%. We employed approximately 28 full-time equivalent positions last year, and that included a mixture of professional librarians, customer service clerks, shelvers, and more. This was an increase in staffing over 2023, where we employed 23 full-time equivalent staff, and it allowed us to run more programs and provide better service to the community. 10% of our funding went towards our materials. We were able to purchase over 10,000 items for the library's collection, which helped contribute to our overall circulation of over 500,000 items last year. 5% of the funding went towards library programs, which allowed us to run over 1,300 free or nominal cost programs for nearly 39,000 participants. And then IT and supplies absorbed about 5% each, so all the little things that keep us up and running, like book carts or antivirus software. And I'm just going to skip ahead to the last key results here on engaging relationships. Success is actually the next one. Thank you. So it's hard to pick just a few of the successes we experienced last year, but one of my favorites is the Letters to Santa initiative we took on towards the end of the year in response to the postal strike. Library elves helped answer 661 letters from children to Santa, and it got a lot of positive media attention, including a national TV segment on Global News. We were also fortunate to receive a $10,000 grant from TELUS as part of their Learn to Tech grant, and these funds went towards the purchase of new programming laptops so we could offer more technology programs to children, teens, and adults. We celebrated our first finisher of the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten Challenge, which helps to encourage early literacy. And we also saw some really encouraging growth in our overall numbers. In-person visits increased by over 6%, with 214,000 visitors in 2024. Circulation rose 2%, hitting that milestone of over 500,000 items checked out. Active cardholders grew by 14%, reflecting more residents using their library cards regularly over a 12-month span. And I also want to highlight some important work we've been doing with the city regarding the potential for a pop-up library at the Eastlink Centre. Pop-up libraries are a growing trend in Western Canada. You can find them in places like Red Deer, Medicine Hat, and North Vancouver. And they offer an innovative, cost-effective way to bring library services to more people where they are. And this aligns with GPPL's vision to expand access and adapt to the evolving needs of our community. As Grande Prairie continues to grow, we know we'll need to look beyond our central location and begin planning for additional library service points. And that's why when I come back to this table in September to present our budget requests, I'll be also including a capital funding request for the Eastlink Pop-Up Library as part of our broader capital planning efforts. And that said, 2024 was not without challenges. Our biggest challenge was probably the trickle-down effect of high staff turnover in 2023, with several new full-time team members learning their roles simultaneously, myself included. Much of our focus last year was on building momentum, fostering teamwork, and helping everyone get into a strong rhythm together. One of the other challenges we faced last year involves safety and security. We've definitely noticed an uptick in more aggressive behavior from patrons, and this is a trend in libraries Canada-wide. So we've been working with our staff to make sure they feel properly equipped with how to handle situations like that. Some of you might remember we experienced a break-in last year. We're fortunate that the city provides on-site security staff, which allows us to quickly call for assistance when needed. That said, the size of the building does mean incidents can happen quickly, so we're focused on doing our part to protect both staff and patrons and to keep the library a safe, welcoming place for everyone, and I think we have the city support with that, so that's very much appreciated. In closing, we appreciate the significant financial support we receive from the city. It truly adds value to our community and provides our residents with access to a beautiful, welcoming space in the heart of Grande Prairie. We'd love to take this opportunity to also invite everyone to our Fables and Fairies Ren Fair taking place on Sunday, August 24th in the Teresa Sargent Hall and out on the Montmoy Concourse. We're going to have a vendor market, jousting, lots of crafts, a scavenger hunt, and a bunch of other fun activities. Feel free to dress in your best Renaissance attire and come enjoy the festivities. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and I see Councillor Blackmore with a question.
Thank you, Councillor Bressie. I'm wondering if you can give us a ballpark figure of the funding request you're going to bring forward for the pop-up library at the Eastlink Centre. I'm not asking for a definite number, just a kind of a ballpark figure.
Yeah, I believe we're asking for around $130,000, if I remember correctly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Councillor Berg also had a question.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Bressie. Thanks, ladies, for the presentation. We just had a couple weeks back a presentation from the Art Gallery, and they brought up safety and security, and I was going to ask you about it, and thankfully you've addressed it. Regarding the city, and we do provide security for it, do you have any kind of ask or idea on what the city might be able to do to help mitigate that?
Yeah, last week I actually met with a couple people from the city to do a security audit of the building, and I believe they met with the gallery as well. And so we talked about some of the more vulnerable areas and how they can address those by maybe having alarmed glass or maybe more cameras or more things like that to help with it, and potentially changing the schedule of the guards so that they're there for maybe longer hours to address some of the potential loitering issues that happen earlier on in the day and that kind of thing.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'll thank you for your presentation. More importantly, thank you for the work that both your staff and your volunteers do for literacy and other amazing library programs. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we've got our Peace Library Systems delegation.
Good morning. Next, please. My name is Louisa Robison. I am the CEO for Peace Library System here in Grande Prairie. Peace Library System is the library system that supports libraries in the Peace region. We have 46 member libraries in 37 municipalities and 1 Métis settlement. And we also support 36 school libraries as well. We are headquartered in Grande Prairie. We have a staff of 18 specializing in library work, computer systems, and logistics. The easy way to think of Peace Library System is that we provide the back end, the back of house services for the libraries in the Peace region so that they can focus their time, their resources, their energy, their money on front-facing services towards the actual people in the community. In 2024, Grande Prairie Public Library specifically got a benefit of $7.28 for each dollar that was spent with Peace Library System. And this is basically on cost avoidance. If the library were going it alone by itself without the support of the library system behind it, this is the money that it would be spending. So I'm going to blast through this really quickly because I know I have very little time. So I'm going to show you how we got to those numbers. So on a billing population of 67,699, which is the population, the number that was supplied to us from Municipal Affairs. Our master agreement is based on the numbers that Municipal Affairs gives us, which unfortunately does not always jibe with the numbers that Municipal Affairs uses to fund the cities on, which is a problem and we're working on it. So this is the figure that we use to bill on. Based on this population figure, the city of Grande Prairie was billed at $6.68 per capita, for a total of $452,229.32. So that's the membership fee to the system, and it's used to provide library services to the Grande Prairie Public Library, such as ordering and cataloging and processing and delivery and interlibrary transfer, as well as consulting services with professional librarians on staff, as well as the professional librarians that Grande Prairie Public Library has. So based on that same population figure, the library board was billed at $186,172.25, or $2.75 per capita. 50 cents per capita of that per capita billing is earmarked for the purchasing of e-resources such as databases, e-books, digital magazines, digital comics, etc. The rest is put into an account for the library staff to use when buying resources for the library, which makes a total of $638,401.57 for the 2024 year, out of which $152,322.57 is set aside specifically for library purchases. So modern libraries require a lot of technology to function, and technology and support is very expensive. Peace Library System and the consortium that we belong to, TRACK, functions as the IT support system for member libraries, and it's on call and free to use. Grande Prairie Public Library, of course, has their own IT specialist on staff, but Grande Prairie Public Library and Peace Library System work in concert to make sure that the system is always up to date and functioning and secure. But in order to manage a library system, be it out of the box open source like Evergreen, or a small all-purpose system like Insignia, would cost an additional support IT person and a programmer, plus the cost of the software itself. Incidentally, the cost for the Polaris system, which is shared among the 4 library systems in TRACK for about 180 libraries, runs about $350,000 US per year. And then the support system that goes on top of that is another $250,000 per year. And that's not including the IT management involved at each of the system levels. Another benefit of being part of PLS is that we host the library's web presence, and we maintain and make changes if needed. Retail web hosting services, and that's just the ability to put a page on the internet with no coding or special plugins, is about $5,000 a year. The system the Grande Prairie Public Library recently discontinued was over $25,000 a year. As a member of the Peace Library System and a library in Alberta, your library is entitled to use the Alberta SuperNet, and the cost for that is covered by the province and administered through the system. The actual cost of the SuperNet is about $850 a year. But if the library did have to pay a retail provider, it would be a little over $25,000. So being a part of Peace Library System means that your library can take part in all the benefits of the provincial interlibrary loan system. This means that your residents have access to the entirety of the holdings of the libraries in Alberta without ever having to leave town. It means that the residents of Grande Prairie have access to so much more than what's on the shelves in the library here. In fact, in 2024, residents of Grande Prairie borrowed over 40,000 items that came from other libraries in Alberta and across Canada. If the library had to buy them to satisfy patron requests, it would have cost almost $100,000, and you'd need a much bigger building. Peace Library System manages access to a number of electronic resources and databases. Two of those, the big ones, are Overdrive and Cloud Library, which have e-books, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, the e-comic books I mentioned. In 2024, GPPL patrons borrowed over 87,000 digital books, which is actually an increase of 15,000 over 2023. And if they had been bought by the library, it would have cost $2.5 million. Sharing agreements that Peace maintains with our consortia partners and with a fifth Alberta system, Parkland, provide access to over $1 million worth of shared e-content. To take advantage of the economies of scale, Peace has negotiated bulk discounts with vendors. So on average, that comes to about 38% off the retail price of books and about 30% off the retail price of DVDs and CDs. As well, Peace purchases a number of resources for member libraries to borrow and use. We put together book blocks of popular items, some technology kits, story times, and other programming kits. Peace Library System runs a number of professional development events throughout the year, specifically for library staff on how to use the resources we provide, as well as topics relevant to working in libraries. One that we recently actually acquired was training on working with unhoused populations. Peace also employs specialists, members with master's degrees in library science for consulting purposes, and library managers have access to their help and expertise whenever they need or to know what best practice or how legislation applies. GBPL employs their own professional librarians as well, and that community of practice is really helpful for conversations around the modern challenges to libraries. We also provide ready-made marketing materials in the fall. We did the symposium in May, and we will be helping to sponsor a conference in October in Edmonton. And all of these benefits are provided to member libraries. Next one, please. So I just wanted to provide a quick comparison of mid-sized libraries in Alberta. There are 8 that are qualified kind of as mid-sized libraries. Grande Prairie is one of them. They all have a similar population. 4 of these are members of systems, 3 are not. So next. Out of the 4 mid-sized libraries in Alberta that do belong to a system, Grande Prairie, Medicine Hat, Airdrie, and Lethbridge, Grande Prairie has the lowest municipal funding and the lowest system fee. Next, please. The 3 libraries who are not members of a system, St. Albert, Red Deer, and Strathcona, are funded solely through municipal levy and fundraising. And since they're not system members, they have to provide services normally supplied by a system. So all those back-end services, the cataloging, the databases, interlibrary loans, e-resources, et cetera, which require, of course, much more money, just to keep them at the same service levels that the rest of the libraries. By the numbers, you can see that the funds used to pay for library service in Grande Prairie are a really, really good deal compared to similar cities in Alberta. And that is all I have to say. I'm open to questions.
Thank you for the presentation, and I'll look at committee and see if anybody has any questions. I am curious, when you're looking at that Councillor Blackmore, I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Councillor Bressy. I just would ask that the slide presentation, which contained a lot of numbers, be emailed out to council so that we can review it again at a more leisurely pace.
I'm sure it can get emailed to us, but it also is in our eScribe package, just so you know as well, if you want to review it.
Yeah, it doesn't open properly for me.
Oh, yeah, eScribe can be fussy.
I don't know why.
Especially when you're on the road, yeah. One question I did have was, looking at the mid-sized funding comparisons to the last slide, was that only looking at cash contributions, or were those comparisons also including those of us that make significant in-kind contributions?
Those were based on asks to their councils. I'm assuming that they were all cash, and that usually when the libraries put out their annual reports, they include in-kinds in a separate column. So those were just cash requests.
Okay, thank you. And also, I'm curious. So you had how many pieces of literature and items our residents brought in from the library? Do you also have the number of how many our library lent out into the system?
I don't have that library, but that number. But actually, Haley might be able to provide that number. Maybe not right now.
Yeah, just more out of a curiosity. I'd be curious for that. I mean, that's a cool system too. I hate paying for things that sit on a shelf and never get used. So it's good when we can lend as well, not just when we receive. Not
she does have the number.
Any other? Oh, awesome.
51,000.
51,000. Great. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions, so just like I did with the last group, I'll thank you and your staff for all the great work you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, I will turn it over to Chief Bailey for her service area update.
Thank you, Chair Brissy. I'll start with a very short and sweet data update this morning as it regards to the Special Olympics Alberta Summer Games. Of course, anecdotal feedback was that we had excellent facilities, our volunteers were incredibly welcoming, and we have a strong ability to execute successful events. However, I do want to note that 850 spectators did attend the opening ceremonies, and we did host over 2,000 out-of-town visitors for the weekend, which I think is a huge success. I'll move us forward to Invest Grande Prairie. We have 4 family physicians newly enrolled in the Family Physician Attraction Incentive. We were also fully subscribed at 50 high school students from around the region who are participating in the 4-day Asclepius Medical Camp for Youth this week, which kicked off with a dinner last night. And as a reminder, the camp is hosted by the University of Alberta medical students and happens at the hospital and Northwestern Polytechnic campus. The Invest Grande Prairie team were also attended 3 ribbon cuttings in the last couple of weeks, welcoming a cafe, a convenience store, and an insurance business. Finally, the city continues to recruit election workers for the October 2025 Municipal and School Board Trustee election, and a postcard with information on elections, including worker recruitment, and all the information needed on VoterLink has been sent to households through Canada Post and will arrive before August 1st. That concludes, Chair Bressy.
Thank you for your report. And I'm not seeing anyone jump in with questions, so I'll turn it right back to you to tee up the Legion Field design update.
Thank you, Chair Bressy. So today's update is on the planned improvements at the Legion Field. Council previously directed administration to work with user groups and bring forward updated design options. So while this is information only, it does reflect the thoughtful coordination and collaboration with school divisions, sports clubs, internal teams to ensure this facility remains functional and competitive for school and community use in the future. I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Esau, who's going to take us through the details.
Thank you for the introduction. In April 2023, committee directed administration to work with school boards and Peace Country Wolves to bring back an updated jumping train design for the Legion Field upgrades. Legion Field includes an outdoor running track, grass field, change rooms, and media tower. It's the only certified athletics facility in northwestern Alberta. The 2022 and 2023 capital budgets allocated $1.22 million toward improvements at the facility. The project was paused pending confirmation of the adjacent land being utilized for the indoor recreation facility, which is now confirmed for development in Trader Ridge. This funding supports repairs to the media tower, replacement of the long jump runway, expansion of the high jump radius, resurfacing of the high jump court area, and repositioning of perimeter fencing to accommodate updated site layout and functionality. Targeted stakeholder engagement with schools, clubs, and user groups informed the design as presented, ensuring the space supports both competition and recreational use. A number of improvements to the site have been requested by user groups and evaluated based on overall needs of the users, consideration for the budget, and the space surrounding the existing facility. In conclusion, the recommendation is that committee receive this report for information.
Thank you, and I'll ask committee members if anybody has any questions. One question I did have, and my apologies, I'm struggling with eScribe right now, so I can't find where my highlights were, but there were talks about accessibility in the media tower. Could you tell me a little bit more about what needs to happen for accessibility there?
Thank you, Chair Bressy. So we haven't. So right now, accessibility in the media tower, the primary upgrade is to get the third floor more functional since it is not usable at the moment. And then just improving overall function of the site since it is an older facility. We haven't looked beyond that, but that can definitely be considered throughout the process.
No, and so when we're talking about accessibility, we're talking more about just general accessibility, not like putting in an elevator or anything like that so that people of all abilities can get up there, correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's just to regain access to the third floor primarily, not to improve elevator access or anything like that.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Blackmore.
I'm just ready to do business if there's no other questions.
Yeah, I think that would be in order if you'd be willing to.
I move we accept the report for information.
Great. Definitely in order. Not seeing anybody asking for debate, so I'll call that to question. That motion carries, and thank you for the report and the work that's going to be coming up there. And I'll turn it back to Chief Bailey to tee up the municipal census update.
Thank you, Chair Bressy. This next report responds to Council's previous direction to provide a breakdown of neighbourhood-level growth between the 2018 and 2024 municipal census. This analysis is intended to offer a helpful lens into how different parts of our city are evolving and highlighting areas of concentrated growth, population stability, and demographic shifts. And while this is an information item, it's one that informs many of our strategic conversations, whether around housing, development timing, community services, or infrastructure investment. So I'll now turn it over to Mr. Tarrant to walk us through the highlights.
Thank you, and through the chair. So the administration was asked to look at the neighborhood by neighborhood breakdown between the 2018 and the 2024 census and to identify the changes in terms of populations by neighborhood. We saw a number of different trends. You know, the one, obviously, no surprise, the newer areas that are being developed are seeing the highest growth. So areas like Kensington and Arbor Hills and Stone Ridge saw the highest percentage of growth over the time as new housing came online. One surprising one that's not in the new areas, the Central Business District that did see a 22.5% increase. Part of that was due to some multifamily being built downtown in between those years, but that only accounts for part of the growth. There are other factors there as well, so it's great to see that growth in the downtown core. The other interesting thing to note was that there was some neighborhoods that saw some population decline. And particularly in the northeast of the city, in the Crystal Ridge and Crystal Lake Estates areas, we did see between 4 and 12% decreases in some of those neighborhoods. Lakeland was another one up in that neck of the woods, and the suggestion, although we don't have the tools to do a deep dive, deep analysis, there is this, we did look at some of the aging demographics, and those couple of those neighborhoods are in the top 10 neighborhoods with the highest proportion of seniors. So it's our inference that that you have that empty nest syndrome whereby as families age, that kids move out of the house and then you have more empty nesters there, and that reduces the number of people in the neighborhood. With that concludes the report.
Thank you. One question I have is, so this is a separate report from our census, but if somebody wants to find this information in the future, what are we going to do to make sure that this information is actually accessible to people that are curious about this for various investment decisions they might make?
Thank you. Through the chair, all this information has been uploaded on our GIS, the open data system. So you can actually go in and find the maps of the 2015, 2018, 2024 census. And as you go to each one, you can actually see the different neighborhoods, and you can actually see the growth from the previous municipal census as you hover around the map and look at the various neighborhoods.
Great. Thank you. Councillor O'Connor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Bressy. Just curious, have we seen an impact for secondary suites affecting any of the growth statistics?
Through the chair, absolutely, that was a part of the growth. Now we did see a great proliferation of those secondary suites starting when we started implementing some of the municipal fee rebates. So last year, and so some of those numbers will not be accounted for. And as we recently saw, the province was trumpeting that Grande Prairie has one of the highest housing starts in the province right now. And certainly anything that's been built in the past year and a half, we're not accounted for in the census, but during the next census, we'll certainly see a significant increase.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor O'Connor, while you're there, would you be willing to move that we receive this? Sorry, you're muted, Councillor O'Connor, but I'm going to assume that you're moving. We can receive.
I will move that report for information, please.
Thank you. Not seeing anybody else trying to get in, so I'll call that the question. That motion carries. And thank you, Mr. Tarrant, and anybody else that worked on this. We appreciate that information. And I will turn it back to Chief Bailey for the outstanding items list.
Thank you, Chair Bressy. I'd please like to request we remove items 1264 and 1352, as we just provided both the Legion and Census reports for information this morning, which completes these action items.
Councillor O'Connor? Sorry, you're still muted, Councillor O'Connor.
I know it's switching frames on me here. I'd like to move that committee receive the July 22nd outstanding items list as amended for information.
I will call that question. And that motion carries. And with that, I will call this committee meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.